So here we are in the workshop at the start of a new project. This is a dual line stunt kite. I'm using that as a rough guide for a different, bigger and hopefully even better dual line stunt kite. Many thanks to Costas from gokiting.gr. So I bought from him connector pieces. There. That's a T-piece. And there. And there. And each end of the carbon fibre that I've got, I glued into the end, depending on what I had that was the right size, either a piece of carbon fibre or wood, and glued it in with epoxy so that there hopefully won't be any splitting of any ends. So there's my frame, and these leading edge pieces are 130 centimeters. My existing dual line stunt kite, which is very, very nice, the leading edge pieces are 120. So I also recently invested in an early birthday present of a sewing machine and some, again from Costas from Go Kiting, I got some of the correct ripstop nylon. And then just before I finish this little video, I'm just going to show you, I've marked out, I used tape and taped some ripstop nylon onto my frame and then drew out the rough pattern, well, the exact pattern of where I want to cut. So I don't know if you can see that there, the lines are a bit faint, but I've drawn out my cutting lines. So I'm about to do the first cut for this dual line stunt kite. Fingers crossed. Talk soon. So here I am half an hour later. I've cut out 2 pieces of ripstop nylon. As I say, I taped them onto that frame and then drew on them and then cut them out. So I'm about to sew them together, which is the first time I'll have ever done any kite sewing for ripstop nylon. Apparently another trick that kite makers use is you get some standard double-sided sticky tape. I cut it lengthwise and made 3 long strips and then long thin strips to double-sided sticky tape these 2 pieces of sail together, do you see there, before I even attempt to sew them together. So fingers crossed for the bit of sewing now. So here we are, I'm going to zoom in nice and close. I've just finished my first ever bit of stitching. There's my little helper. Puss, puss, puss. Hello, dog. So I'm going to zoom in nice and close and hopefully you can see that I did indeed stitch this. It's not quite focusing right there. It's white stitching on a white background. I think that's why you can't see it, but anyway, look, there's a nice zigzag stitch there. There you go. There's a nice zigzag stitch all the way along there. That's it. So here we are, days later of sewing. I didn't have red and blue ripstop fabric, so I'm afraid I spray painted the tips. And I was running very low on black, so I used a permanent marker. One of the very difficult bits is that there's supposed to be a string running through, let's call it the trailing edge. So I had to do a thin little hem and then thread the string all the way through and out the other end, like that. There were a number of awkward bits. I had to come up with my own system for the standoffs. I sewed kind of a, let's call it a buttonhole, and you know, there's more reinforcing under the other one, underneath that. And then look, a 3D printed little piece, which I'm going to pull out. I 3D printed that. designed and 3D printed it myself and put that into like the little buttonhole for the standoffs. Now, these edge strips where the main spars are going to go along the leading edge. To do that, I used a couple of little techniques. Maybe I'm cheating, I don't know. I ironed the strips of fabric. The strips of ripstop nylon look something like that, and I ironed them over, and then look, double-sided sticky tape, which I sliced into 3 so that they're nice thin little lengths. And look, so now that has the ripstop nylon, has the double-sided sticky tape inside. Do you see that in there? So it was ironed to fold over neatly, and then it had double-sided sticky tape placed inside. When it was like that, I was then able to place it along the leading edge, and it held in place enough for me to sew it. So we have yet to see if it's going to fit onto this frame neatly, and I'm using an existing dual line stunt kite as my guide. So there you go, that's the story so far. I'll report back in a few days, fingers crossed. So here I am a few days later, more sewing, more tinkering. I have taken apart the frame because I'm going to be actually putting it together for real shortly. I've nearly finished all of the sewing, and I wanted to just say, see the string that comes out at the end of the lower piece? I had to thread wire temporarily through here and then put a little loop at the end of the wire to catch hold of the thread, to run the thread all the way along the trailing edge, and it comes out here at the other end. But that's how I did it, was by threading a piece of wire all the way along there and fishing the string through. What else? Here are the other connectors I'll be needing to reattach the lower spreader. This T-piece I may replace with this, which I 3D printed myself, and there's a very heavy duty rubber band on it there, which I might use to imitate this on the shop boat kite. Do you see that? Instead of this T-piece. So next video at some point in the next few days, and we'll hope that it works. A bit more sewing left to be done as well at the ends. Super quick vid. So just to get one spar in, the leading edge spar with one connected, has taken me nearly an hour because the connector pieces I was using were very tight, so I'm going to be using this Allen key to ream this out a little bit more because it was very, very stiff to get it onto the carbon rod. Thanks for Costas from gokiting.gr for that little tip. So use an Allen key to make it a bit easier to get onto the next rod, and you have to thread it through slowly along the stitched sides and hold the connectors where the gaps are. See, there's a gap there, and you hold the connector there, so it ends up looking a bit like that. Okay, fingers crossed, I'll get the next one in. Goodness me, we are getting close to a finished kite. Very, very pleased with the way that's coming along. So there's the factory made one. Actually, I think that's a Yukon. Yeah, it is. It's a Yukon kite. Very nice kite. So that's the professional. Here's my version. So it's nearly done, but I'll just show you where it's not done. I need to do a load of little adjustments. So number one, it was very difficult to work the rod up through here and into the stronger material here, because it was very difficult to find the opening of this extra strong fabric material inside this. So I need to do that better next time. That was very difficult. Also at the end, I don't have the right materials here, so at the end I'm going to tie on the extra. I'm going to sew on an extra piece here, so it's not actually finished yet. This is still loose, and that doesn't have an extra little loop there to put onto an end piece, which isn't on yet. So a bunch of messing at the end needs to be done on each tip, and I hope that my little kind of buttonholed 3D printed holders work for the standoffs. But I'm really pleased with that. It's close. Oh, and two final problems. I need to put some extra black material there to strengthen it up. And last problem, oh yeah, I was pleased with that. That was awkward to do, but I had some heavy duty rubber band, so that actually worked. Final little mistake, I didn't make this out of very thick material, so it's not reaching around and grabbing on to the other side of the Velcro properly. Look, the end of the spine gets in its own way, kind of. Whereas on the factory made one, see, they did that of a big thick material so that, 1 second now, they come across as well like that. See, that's able to go like that. So I need to copy that or make some adjustments. Nearly done. Great. Here we are. After a bunch more sewing, it's much closer again to being ready. There is now an extra piece of strong material sewed on there, and at the back bottom here I have sewed on extra rough, two rough outer velcros coming across there, and then that strap can come up over the 3D printed piece and onto there. Basically a copy of what happened on the professional one, but very happy with that. So all that's left is to attach all of the bridling, the strings that lead to the strings, and then to complete these end bits later or tomorrow. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm delighted to announce this is the last of the Stunt Kite build because it's finished. There are the strings attached, and there are the bridle points completed. I just basically copied the bridle points off that. They're kind of out about here. They're roughly 50 centimeters long, each leg of the bridle. The leading edge spars are 1.30 meters, and it balances roughly around about here. So that's kind of all the same as the Yukon 2, but in proportion to size a bit bigger. And just very briefly to finish, I just very quickly built a kite bag. I hope I made the damn thing wide enough. But so look, that's the end of the kite build. Many thanks to Costas from gokiting.gr for all the tips and help and materials. And hopefully the next vid will be on the flying field. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye. Really pleased with that. It fitted in first time. Not a bother. So there's a little kite bag. All done. Right, off to the flying fields with the missus. Let's hope there's a bit of wind and a good crack had by all. Yay!